Okay.
The 25th of May already.
Yeah, it was a very, very, very important day.
Is it?
Yeah.
I can't wait to find out why it's an important day.
I don't know what happened. I didn't check today.
You didn't check.
So it was probably something really big and I missed it. Does it sound familiar?
It does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's Dave? He's sleeping.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Face down on the divan with a single tear rolling out of one of his eyes.
Up in Canada. What's
That's
that?
right. With a single tear just rolling down his cheek.
Yeah, I can do it all right. My power.
I met Donna Douglas once. You're laughing. You know what I was watching last night? The very first episode of the Beverly Hillbillies.
Oh my God. In black and white.
In black and white, in 4:3. It's on Prime. And I should have captured the opening screen, but because it wasn't called the Beverly Hillbillies the first time or the first show. The Hillbillies of Hollywood or something like that. But anyway.
With the usual cast, though.
Oh, yes. Everybody, B. Benaderet and Max Baer and Donna Douglas and who played...
I can't remember.
Buddy Ebsen. Buddy Ebsen.
Buddy Ebsen.
That's right. And it's just and Max Baer is the sole survivor to this day.
That's right.
Yeah, 82, I think, or something. Donna Douglas died a few years ago.
Yep.
So I don't know why I was watching this.
What on a streaming service or what?
It's on Prime. Prime is picking up. Of course, you know, they're going through all the drawers now to pull everything they can to put on streaming services.
What was the first year's? 63?
Oh, I should have looked it up, but
and I wasn't even 11, and I thought to myself, this is the end of television.
It was quite something.
This is so bad.
And B. Benaderet, who has an amazing voice, you know, and they're talking Jed into moving to Hollywood and shooting.
Well, she ended up being the host of Petticoat Junction.
That's right, and shooting
Green
possums.
Acres,
and yes,
and all those shows were top shows. If you check out, I've got a book that is just wonderful. Gives you the top 10 and the audience, which today's fractured world would only hope for. They were all these top shows, and they were all corn pone show.
Yeah, huge.
CBS dropped every one of them.
Yep.
In 66 or something like that.
Yep.
They wanted a younger audience.
Okay. Bill is in the green room, Bill Brownstein. Did you have anything to throw in here? Because Bill's confused. I sent the invite to the wrong email address and he's getting angry. So.
Oh, okay. Well, if Bill's confused, I think that's worth watching.
So let's just see if we can bring him in, if he's in there. Bill, I don't know how to say it. I was reading
because
the Gazette.
She's my girl.
I was reading the Gazette this morning. There are 1,100 Brownstein columns available on the web, from what I could calculate this morning.
My goodness. And Bill's written most of them.
He's been there for 33 years, I think, 1987.
I was lucky enough to be interviewed by Bill.
There he is.
Look, he is. He's confused.
He's confused.
Pissed off.
He's
he wants
angry.
to get out and go for a walk. Because she's my girl, Bill. How are you, pal?
We can't hear. Make sure your microphone is on, Bill. We can't hear you. Okay, while Bill figures it out. Anyway, an amazing record of chronicling the city.
Well, this is an old Montreal family too.
Yes,
because Bill's family are the founders of Brown Shoes.
Oh, I didn't know there was a connection there. Yes. Okay,
Montreal connection.
If you go down to the bottom left of your screen, Bill, you should see a little microphone icon, and if it's not flashing green, then you'll have to.
You're not on. Join with sound.
If it's on mute. Okay, we're not. Well, we can.
It's like watching a Charlie Chaplin film.
That's right. Yeah. So maybe I can sort of. We can dub in what Bill is saying.
Yeah. Would you
But
get the keys to the Volvo?
Was it Barry Blitt, the one we were reading about, the cartoonist for the New Yorker? That's the one that really snagged my attention. The column that Bill wrote about Barry Blitt. Did you see that?
Could be. I mean, God, he's written about
did I not
everybody
send
who's
you
either
that?
lived in this city or passed through this city.
Did I not send you that of the cartoon on the cover of the magazine? And it's
yes. The New Yorker. I'm sorry.
It's Trump and Giuliani pushing Uncle Sam essentially off the bridge, right? And it's outstanding.
That's true. Yeah.
So
it's a green microphone. Bill.
Unless the microphone
look
is
down
not
to your left.
If you look
below the screen,
if you click the little arrow, Bill, at the bottom left, maybe that's the wrong microphone. So if you click the arrow, it'll give you a selection of microphones that you can choose from, and you might be using a separate one that is not, if it is not your laptop or your desktop.
There you go. Over to the left on the screen at the bottom. Your left.
We probably should have gone through this.
Yeah. Do you want to take them through it?
It's my fault. I should have done this. I'm accustomed to working with older people like you who have difficulty. Yeah. I used to do that to technicians in radio stations, and they would get very upset. So Bill has started sharing his screen.
Oh, there. Okay, over there, Bill. Oh, there you go.
Okay. What we're going to do here is try to regroup.
No. This is gold.
Is it gold?
We're keeping this.
We're going to keep this.
Gold.
Okay. I'm glad you're in a good mood this morning. Did you have any gatherings this weekend at all, or?
Well, we went out to see the kids. I visited my sister Joanne in her garden, and her garden looks absolutely gorgeous. She is much like your lovely lady.
Oh yes, always in there.
And utterly insane.
Dirt flying all over the place.
Oh,
yeah.
Exactly.
Like a dog bearing a bone. Yeah.
Yeah. Small animals running all about.
Yeah.
Just completely and utterly insane. Has no, and beautiful garden. Lovely stuff. Water running, and it's got a small version of the Hoover Dam working in one part of it. This kind of thing. It never stops.
Well,
it's the most packed 14 square feet in the world.
I will take a photograph once it's sunny later this week, and you will see how this one has exploded. And I did some modifications, made some modifications to the herb garden over the weekend too.
Oh,
so
okay.
Now the doors open this way, and there are little poles to keep them up, and so it's quite the engineering.
Well, I should take pictures of ours, because our flowering crab out front is just beautiful. They haven't started with the berries of it yet, but the flowering part is absolutely gorgeous. And in the back, we have a Saskatoon berry, which is flowering. No berries yet. And Bill, at the bottom left, there's a microphone. It's red.
No,
there's a slash through it.
It's muted now. So, okay.
Oh, you've muted it.
No, I have not. No, I believe he has. So he's struggling. I'm sorry, Bill. Please, I apologize to you for not having gone further to set this up with you. So. And he warned me. He said, "I'm not a big Zoom guy or a Skype guy." He says,
"Yeah."
But, writes his columns by hand. Did you know that on a big yellow pad?
Get a picture of Bill at a typewriter.
Right. He has to call him back and say, "What was it? I have a gub. Was it a gub you said you had?"
Call editing.
I have a gub. What does this mean?
I have a gub. No, sir, that's written a gub. Yeah.
That's from
what was that? Take the money and run?
Take the money and run. I think I have a gub.
Yeah. Well, you and I are doing a lot of running right now.
We certainly are. And this is what we learned from live television.
Guess which one we have is going to have the most views.
Got cut off trying to rejoin, says Bill. Oh, he has.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, there we are.
Let me try to readmit him. Anyway, this is Zoom, and there's not an outdate, but an update online now, 5.0.4.
Have you upgraded?
I have. These are just little bug fixes that they're putting in, so nothing specious
it say
about
upgrade
it.
To me when I put my Zoom up, because it did not do that.
No, eventually if you don't check for an update, which is what I do manually on a regular basis, it'll appear at the top of your screen in blue, update waiting. You just click that and follow the
Okay,
instructions.
eventually, but not necessarily the first time you put it up.
No,
Because
no,
I'm
I
at
would,
5.02 or something like that.
or something like that, or point 0.3. It doesn't, these are not critical to the point where you need to do it, but it will eventually essentially force you to do it. So it's not a big deal.
Okay. So both of us
Oh,
wore
I see.
our
Wait a minute.
very best shirts.
I have two Bill Brownsteins now in the green room.
For the first time on the Grumpod, a doppelganger.
So let's see which one's going to join first. And of course, if you click join and then you open the waiting room, we call it the green room, but a little panel opens on the right. So admit all. Well, this is what's going on. So we have two Bill Brownsteins trying to join us. This is so sad. I'm terribly sorry once again. I should have figured this out. What maybe we're going to do is just stop recording and then butt cut our segments here.
Okay. Do you want me to? I'll wait for you to
just
send me.
stay on the phone here. I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose you.
You know
either.
how to use one of these?
If I lose you, then this whole thing is going to go to shit really quickly. So.
You know what's going to happen? This is going to be the most viewed one.
That's right.
This one, 7,000.
And you know what? We were talking about Thomas Friedman and Michael Moore a moment ago before we began recording.
What were you up to?
Bill Maher. We watch Bill Maher here every week. I know you're not a huge fan.
Well, I come and go with Bill. Bill can make a lot of sense, but Bill can be a pain in the ass.
He can be a pain in the ass.
Things too.
His view of the world is not necessarily mine, and he goes off on tangents sometimes that make no sense. And he did that on Friday. But he had Thomas Friedman and Michael Moore on as guests. And what he does do when he has folks like these guys, men and women who know what's going on, he will let them speak. And Moore is right on. And again, he is suggesting that there's a very good chance that Donald J. is going to be reelected.
Sorry, I can barely hear you now.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah.
There's a very good chance, says Michael Moore, that Trump is going to be reelected. Okay. This is something we've heard from him before, but he was among those who predicted that Trump would get in the first time. And then Thomas Friedman, whom you like as
New York Times columnist. He's probably written more about the Middle East than any other American journalist. He's been there, I don't know how many times.
Absolutely brilliant and glib and articulate and outstanding. So he was on too on Friday. So my spouse kept looking at me saying, "Why don't you have him on?" I said, "Okay, why not?" So I spent the evening, well, not the evening, at the end of the evening on Saturday, I rifled off messages to Michael Moore and Thomas Friedman to see if they would join us.
In what form? Did you just
I sent one to Mr. Friedman's agent, since he's not on Facebook, but Michael Moore is on Facebook. So I sent Michael Moore a message on Facebook, and
any luck?
Not yet, but I described us as two erudite persons who are interested in what's going on over the fence. So please drop us a line if you'd like to join us.
Yeah.
And
I mean, after all, we're Canadians.
We are. So let's see if we can try to get Bill back on here. Nope. Okay, let's try this one.
Okay, there's Bill.
Let's see. There's Bill.
Does Bill know you join with sound and with video?
He appears to be muted. Unmute. Oh, his camera is off. Okay, so the camera needs to be turned on at the bottom of the screen. If you go again to the bottom left, Bill, there you'll see video. There should be, if there's a little slash across video. Oh, okay, camera's on.
There he is.
We can't hear him.
Trying
again.
to read
We can't hear
chart again.
Okay. We're taking up probably so much time in this man's life here for this.
Yeah, if you look down right at the bottom, Bill, go to your left, over to your left, and it says mute my audio. And if it doesn't mute, there will be green that will go up on the audio.
I don't think he's muted because we would see it as muted. So click the little arrow bottom left right next to the microphone.
You got your mic on?
And then you might see a select microphone at the top of the menu, and you may be on, whoops. Now we're muted. Okay. No, you may be having difficulties similar to what you were having with Skype.
It's like watching my dad try to get a clear picture on Channel 6 in 1958. Yeah. I want to watch Ward Bond. I'm going to watch it.
We had a black and white Marconi.
You had a Marconi.
A Marconi
which were actually
television
Canadian
set.
made, weren't they? We had an RCA.
I think they were, and to turn it on, you had to pull the knob, and that was it was power and volume in one knob. Of course, you couldn't put too many knobs on there.
Yeah.
And back when I was
and
a
you
kid,
had
it was,
channels 2 through 13. Once in a while, later on, there was a U there, but you had no idea what that meant. You know, it could have meant Ursula Andress or
mine.
New Taunt.
No, ours was not quite that sophisticated. We had one channel, it was channel 5, so it just sat there.
That's right.
You turn it on.
What was it called?
CKSO in Southern
First
Ontario.
color station in Canada.
Yeah, we talked about that, you and I, several weeks ago, and yes.
Yeah.
And
but
Alex
we got channel 2. I was too young to remember, but channel 2, CBFT, went on the air in September of 1952. It was the first station to go on the air in Canada. CBC. It went on the air. It was bilingual.
That's right.
A couple of days later, Channel 6, it actually went on Channel 9 in Toronto went on. And then 2 years later, we got CBMT, which was exclusively in English, but that was it. And if you had a huge aerial, you could get Channel 3 in Burlington, Vermont, and Channel 5 in Plattsburgh, New York. But not many people had aerials enough to.
That came later. Computer says my cookie's preventing me from using mic. Last time I try Oreos, sorry.
That's from Bill?
That's from Bill. So I'm afraid we've lost.
Geez, he's been monopolizing the conversation a bit.
I don't know that I've ever heard of that particular error, but what I will do, I'll try to regroup with Bill, at least by email, and try to figure out what's going on. Our apologies to Bill. Thank you for trying. We'll try to
thanks, Bill. We'd love to hear from you.
So, all right. Tomorrow.
That went well.
Yes, tomorrow. Your author colleague,
exactly,
Mr. O'Keefe.
This is David O'Keefe. He teaches history at Marianapolis College. I am screen sharing, aren't I?
He does pole dancing too. Wow.
This is by the way, this is a wonderful thing. I spotted, a friend of mine spotted it. Peter Pearson, who is the father of my son-in-law, Louis, spotted this. It's from May 9th, but I just spotted it now. It is a wonderful thing on YouTube. The performers trying to spend a day at home during COVID-19.
I'd like to see you do this, actually.
Oh my God!
Look at wait a minute. Look at the muscle control here. I thought he was walking on something. He's not. Oh,
and that's his two sons.
Oh, yikes!
And they're finally getting interest in what Dad's doing. Anyway, it's about 23 minutes long.
Look at the triceps on this guy.
Fascinating.
Jeez.
I didn't want to leave on a downer, but there was an incredibly affecting three front pages of yesterday's being Sunday's New York Times, relating the nearly 100,000 Americans who have died because of COVID-19, and you know what they were going to do. One of the women who died in her mid-80s was the first Black attorney in the United States. So it is really quite an affecting, it's almost like the wall of the Vietnam veterans.
Yeah, let me just do a quick little sidebar, two little things. If you want to subscribe to the Times, they have a $1 Canadian a week deal now for a year. So it's $4 a month, and I subscribed the other day online. Only.
Because you can for free, unless they've changed that, you can for free if the articles have anything to do with COVID-19.
Oh yeah, but I got the full full buffet, at least online. A buck a week Canadian, you can't go wrong. And of course this cover came back up, and somebody
columnist, great columnist, good writing.
And for a tongue-in-cheek punch in the nose here, somebody essentially did a video mix or mashup, if you will, of Donald Trump and REM's Losing My Religion, entitled Losing My Civilians. And
Is this on YouTube?
It is. I will post it on my page. Somebody put it on my page a couple of days ago. I will repost it this morning. It's really quite well done, and it's funny for about a second, and then you realize how tragic and how appalling this is, and how this person
Everything becomes ironic, doesn't it? Tragically ironic.
Now, this person is a war criminal. He is a war criminal.
He is a war criminal. Yep. Yes, he's a criminal in every sense of the word.
Yep.
There is David O'Keefe. He teaches history at Marianopolis, and this is the book. I'm just about finished it. One of those ones where you're afraid to turn the page, but you can't stop yourself from turning the page. It is about the days after the Normandy invasion, D-Day in other words, which is coming up, the anniversary is coming up on the 6th, where most people think after D-Day, there's Bill. Hi, Bill.
Silence.
The picture's great.
Yes, he's changed computers. He's giving it the old college try.
I'm back.
Oh, there he is.
Okay, hold on a second, Bill. I'm just going to stop sharing. There you are.
Thanks for all this effort, Bill. You're a mensch. It's good to see you.
Well, it said my browser didn't like the cookie I was using it, so I'm not going to use Oreos anymore. I'm going to use
But not use cookies for a microphone?
I don't know. It said my browsers didn't accept my cookies.
I've never seen that before.
That sounds a little salacious, Bill.
I know. So I moved to my other computer again, which is what you sent me in the first place. It's very confusing.
Well, you're much better with sound. You've got a fine, handsome face there, pal, but you're better with sound.
Thank you very much. Nice to see both of you guys. Last I heard, you said I owned Brown's shoe shops. I should correct that.
Well, I didn't say you did.
Oh,
I didn't say. But you're part of the family, aren't you?
No, well, relatives.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, would I be doing this now?
No, you wouldn't.
Nice shoes, Bill.
No, you don't want to see them.
No, you.
Well, I haven't seen you at a dog's age.
I was just thinking that myself. Last time you saw me in the flesh was when CBC had a lockout. We had a fundraiser.
And way back then, when I was doing that film on Bill Lee, the two of you were in studio, and you did an interview with him, and you had mentioned a great line, Dave, that he came in, he flew into Montreal, perhaps not on an airplane.
Yeah.
And in 5 words, summed up the life and times of Bill Lee.
I don't know if that line ever got back to him, but hey.
It's okay. He probably would have liked it.
That was fun. That was fun. No, Bill, we wanted to catch up with you because, again, there were so many of us who read your columns all the time, and it's great. It's great, and then it sort of goes on, and it's the next column. But 1987, based on your webpage on the Gazette, there is that true? 33 years already?
Probably, yes.
Wow.
Would we lie? Well, how long when were you when we did the movie, the Bill Lee thing? That was early 80s.
That must
and
have
you
been.
guys were both on the air.
Yes.
And
I've been around there for about 4 years, and Yvonne was just coming in from CF.
83.
And I think I just after my movie career, I branched into media. Much easier destroying films than making them, we discovered. And so basically I've been, I guess, more or less, over 30, 33, 34 years.
Wow. And prolific. On the website alone, there are some 1,100 columns in there. I'm sure you've written more than that. But
perhaps who can count that high?
Wow. I'm interested in the process about how you get your ideas. Is it people you bump into on the street, or people who know somebody? Yeah, okay, right.
Not bumping into anybody.
Right. But the story of the
fertile imaginations, guys.
But the story of the Sikh, was it the Sikh physician who shaved his beard? Barry Blitt, that great cartoonist who was raised in Montreal and works for the New Yorker and others. That's the one that snagged me a couple of weeks ago. What's great amazing, column. What a great piece.
It grows up in Côte Saint-Luc, goes to Wagar High School, and the next thing you know, he's winning a Pulitzer Prize for making fun of Trump. Does it get better than that?
Wow. Outstanding.
Yeah.
Outstanding. Great cover.
Do you find...
yeah?
I'm sorry, do you find yourself having to cajole some of these people to talk to you, or do they just open up?
Sometimes they do. In the case of the Sikh physician, it was a very painful thing for him because it's not something that he was proud of, in the sense that, I mean, he's very religious, and it's meant a whole lot to him. But not only that, he had a lot of flack from within the Sikh community, and it was, he didn't really, he wanted to set an example on some levels to show how difficult it was, but on another level, it was for him a very strong betrayal of his own values, and he got, like I say, a lot of flack from within the community, so he was somewhat reluctant to talk about it. I did another column on a very famous Montrealer, Dennis Brott, a cellist, who was struck
Dennis
with
was
COVID.
quite sick.
It was very sick, and there was a story written in like early April about him going to hospital and becoming unconscious, going into intensive care, and we hadn't heard about him for like 3 weeks, and nobody knew. I mean, he was in critical condition, and I was able to, like, through mutual friends, find out. But again, sometimes they don't. It's very difficult. It's very painful, and like, and this guy is in a very weakened state. They don't. There are a lot of people, they think, who are doing more important things, or, worth covering, and again, reluctant to want to talk about their particular situation. So you do have to do a bit of cajoling, but then you get other people who, like, just want to, like, just love seeing their names. These kinds of people love hearing their names, seeing their names, who, will like volunteer a pair of underwear to some food bank somewhere and want a story written about them.
Yes, signed or otherwise.
There are people like that. So it's more fun finding people who aren't looking for publicity, but doing things because they want to do things, but not like trying to find an audience and trying to exploit upon that. And
it's interesting, Bill, you mentioned, for people who hadn't read the article, it's a tremendous story about the physician who shaved off his beard. And I'm sure, for those of us who read it, the irony of face coverings,
that was
COVID-19 era, is just, it's rich irony.
Well, and there it is. I mean, I didn't even have to spell that out because I think people gathered that. But the irony is now the premier who's like suggesting we all wear face masks, and they passed the bill where basically they don't want face coverings or head coverings or anything else. So there is a fabulous amount of irony there. You guys would appreciate that.
Yeah, and there is another irony of our premier inviting people back into schools and daycares, into the medical, people he would not have hired before because of face coverings and keepers, and we love you now. We all,
and immigrants as well.
The side of that is just appalls me.
Absolutely, but look at all these immigrants who came in like through the Roxham Road kind of illegally, and who are the ones like kind of manning our seniors' residences, a lot of them, and they're looking to get citizenship and all the rest, but he's not so quick to hire, not so quick to give them citizenship. So I mean, there is a lot of strange stuff going on.
But the gas is doing a great job. And I popped a gasket a while back when the premier sort of took it out on Aaron Derfel for perhaps stirring the pot a little bit too much. Aaron Derfel was doing his job very well.
Right. And it's interesting because he's not the only one who's pointed out inconsistencies with the seniors' residences and all the rest, but and then took the opportunity to kind of suggest that the Anglos were, how shall I say, reacting more negatively than Francos were. But basically, it wasn't an Anglo-Franco thing. It's more a Montreal versus the rest of the province thing.
Yep, and a politician who doesn't really know how to run that game terribly well, because that was a faux pas with a capital F.
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, the guy was basically just doing his job and found out about a lot of shortcomings.
Yeah.
And I mean, we do have an appalling record with our seniors resident. I mean, there's no taking away. We are the epicenter right now. I mean, almost more than half the deaths in Canada come from Quebec, and Montreal is certainly leading the way city-wise.
Yeah, I dare not compare Smiling Frank, if I may be irreverent for a second, but Monsieur Legault to Donald Trump. But Bill, he was doing okay. I mean, Anglophones like us were sort of saying he's doing a good job, especially
Right.
when compared to the complete pandemonium down
Yeah.
south. And then he had to step in it with the Anglo press thing, and now he's stepped in it with his talks about Haitians. You can't take the cack out of the boy.
You're right. No, he was doing the Papa Legault thing, kind of like Lucien Bouchard was doing way back when as well during the ice storm and everything. And Anglos were generally very, very warm to his moves and appreciative of his press conferences, speaking in English, doing all the things that one would expect a leader to do. And then you're right, but unlike Trump, I guess he hasn't suggested that we use Clorox to.
God, that's a whole
No,
other thing.
exactly. It's just it was just such a terrible mistake, and people were pointing it out as a stupid mistake. Nothing to do with Anglos and Francos and
Right.
Allos and
Right.
or identity. It was just dumb.
Because that is actually, this whole thing has transcended all of that. I mean, you hear very little Anglo-Franco talk. I mean, for the most part right now.
And you're right. The comparison to Bouchard really doesn't put him in a good light. He's no Lucien Bouchard.
No. And I mean, and by the same token, I mean, it's not easy getting up there every day. I mean, Justin Trudeau, I don't know how he does this every day, and like scrutinized for everything from his beard, the gray there, but no gray there, and I mean, people are going off the deep end, like like analyzing backgrounds of the room raider business. I mean, you've got a nice background there, Dave. I like Yvonne. He's got a John Oliver sort of background, like.
But Trudeau knows when to cut it off. He says, "Okay, this will be 12 minutes, and that's it." And then bang, he's gone, Washington style.
Legault press conferences can go an hour and a half.
Right. Yeah, but they were on the last time Legault, was it 2 or 3 days ago? They were on for an hour. It's just too much yammering, and that's when you step in it. Exactly.
Bill, who are you looking at these days? Who are you searching around for? Do you just go through the phone book after a while?
Well, basically,
the phone book.
There's always stuff, interestingly enough, like there's always stuff, like in the midst of like walking my dog 19 times a day and getting my steps in, you discover things like the first Quebecois film to be produced by Netflix called Jusqu'au déclin. I mean, like an amazing film, like which very prescient, basically about a pandemic coming and survivalists trying to survive it, except this was written 3 years before. So you find stuff like this, you find people out there doing things. You speak to, the thing that really hurts is you see all to me, the lifeblood of the city are the restaurants and the bars and all the rest, and like everything's coming back to normal. But these guys, I mean, they're so hard hit. More than 170,000 workers in the business in this province alone are out, and I don't see it ever coming back. The business, 50% of them will probably go out of business, and that really breaks your heart. So I mean, you reach out to people to see how they're coping, and some are. I mean, if you're Amazon, if you're making masks, I guess it's good. If you're making protective, other kind of protective equipment, but for the most part, people are having a hell of a time.
Yeah. Somebody, you knew in this, the stories come out that somebody's making a killing, right?
Yes.
Like Shopify's getting together with Facebook, and
they say Jeff Bezos is on his way to becoming the world's first trillionaire.
Yeah.
I don't even know how many zeros that entails.
Yeah,
but
and Amazon is ramping back up again now. They said, okay, enough of this pandemic stuff. It's back to selling.
They're not giving bonuses.
Glowing shoelaces and things like that.
You look at Jeff Bezos, by the way, Yvonne.
I do. Thank you very much.
My
bank account doesn't quite match up. How are you? How are you doing, Bill? Family as well, and you're okay?
Family is good, and we've got everybody's in town. The kids are all good. Grandchildren good. Everybody, coping as well as we can.
Okay.
Have you got a memoir of your day that you can do? I mean, do you write for therapeutic reasons, and can we see maybe an article? I mean, you write about everybody. Each individual person is a great story.
Is there a book in there somewhere?
Writing about your day.
Yeah.
Geez, I don't know. I hadn't thought about that. I mean, basically, you're just trying to get through every day, figure out how you can take your walks, what you're going to eat, and then it's the next. But it's all a blur. I don't even know what day it is, what week it is, what month it is. I mean, it just like one thing goes into the next. I mean, I love a little comedy relief every now and again. Like check out what's going on the internet, but. It's a day by day. You can't think too long term because if you do, it's very depressing. This could go on for a year. This could go on for 2 years. Who knows?
Anyway,
You
Bill,
have bad dreams.
Bill, thanks for taking the time to futz around with this stuff this morning and to talk to us. We love you and we need you, and you're doing a great
we
job.
love you too. And I should have stuck to the first. This is a much better computer than the other one. I thought it would be much easier.
No problem. No problem.
And it was great to see both of you. Always been a big fan of both of you guys, as you know, from way back. You guys are healthy and well. Dave, you're doing okay?
Yeah, we're fine. We're lucky too, Bill. We've got all the kids and the grandkids in town too. So we are extremely, and they're all healthy and we're healthy. My wife hasn't taken a shovel to the back of my head in the backyard. So I'm lucky.
It's coming.
Yeah. you didn't have to say that because it will come.
Bill,
it's good to see you, Bill. Good to see you happy and healthy.
Guys. Really nice to talk to you.
Ciao, buddy.
Take care.
I call everybody buddy. I'm sorry, but Bill is a...
I do, pal.
You look up Mensch in the dictionary, Bill's picture comes up. So,
but there was, remember the movie, Silent Movie?
Yes. Yes.
So maybe we should do one.
Yes, right. Or you can speak and I will dub what you're saying. That should be. I will do a Chinese. Wait, where's he going?
After all, it's only 5 sentences.
Yeah. Stop.
Yeah, I'll put some really black stuff around my eyes. Remember all that makeup they used to have to wear in the movies during the First World War?
Oh, I'm so pleased that Bill was around today. I'm glad he got it all figured out. So
yeah,
but this is what's going on here too, because I was doing the same thing with a former colleague over the weekend, walking him through on the phone. And that's probably what I should have done with Bill. But anyway, I'm pleased he was.
Well, I am finding out because, of course, I'm venturing out to hosting a couple of Zoom things of my own. I've told you about the one I have with 3 friends I have. And it is dead simple. But until you get it, the technology can be a little. And you also have people who are anywhere from savvy the way you are to what we call Zoom virgins. They haven't got a clue and they're frightened to death. So it's an interesting spectrum we face.
Okay, so tomorrow we're going to get into with the book with Mr. O'Keefe.
David O'Keefe.
Yeah, and the title of the book again. Remind me again so I can look it up here. 7 Days in Hell. 7 Days in Hell. Okay.
And there's David, who teaches history at Marianopolis, and I am just finishing it up. Hell is too kind a word to explain what these poor bastards went through. So we'll talk to David about that tomorrow. How are you going to put this epic together?
I'm going to leave it as it is because it's this is how things go. And as you said, this is gold. This is gold. Yeah.
It's kind of like watching the Gary Shandling production.
But you and I have been through this on live television before, or at live radio too, And one of the stories I tell was during the Oka crisis. I was on News World at the time, across the country. And one evening I was interviewing Joe Norton and Billy Two Rivers live, and it was pitch dark, and they were standing in front of the camera. There was just the camera light illuminating them. They each had a microphone. And within about maybe a minute into the interview, things went awry. I won't tell you the entire story because it'll take too much time. And Mr. Norton and Mr. Two Rivers decided to put an end to the interview about 10 minutes before the control room was expecting it to end. So they removed their microphones, walked out of frame, went to black, and they threw back to me. And I had about 10 minutes to fill on live television.
I
across
see.
the
Had the
network.
shit hit the fan, shall we say,
Yes,
without going into
it
details?
hit the fan to the point where I picked up the phone the next morning, to talk to Chief Norton and had a chat with him about that. And it was an unfortunate situation. A lot of tension, as you will recall at the time. So yeah, but you got to put on those skates and skate along. Thank you.
So you had what, 10 left?
About 10 minutes. Yes.
You take the yolks of 3 eggs. You beat
That's right. That's right. So, yeah, the jacket now. I bought this jacket at, oh yeah, it's just, you run out and you have to keep bringing things back, and you can you can hear people's shorts filling with bricks up in the control room too, right? And they're, you hear 5 minutes. Keep going.
That's what they call the varsity rag.
All right, we've gone on way too long, and this will go on much longer. We can't. We will talk tomorrow.
That's right. You and I have run out of things.
That's right. That's enough for enough people. What the hell is this about? What are they talking about?
You know, I've been watching a whole bunch of the previous ones. You just press a button and stop. You're right.
That's it.
You know, what did you say to that person just before they? As Jack Sue said in the middle of an aphorism by one of his relatives. Well, then he died.
Yeah. Yeah. $40 only in.
I'll tell you about the
tomorrow we'll get into a more serious subject, but there you go. All right. Thanks, Bill. Thanks, buddy.